Hi there and welcome back to Step-by-Step GuitarTuition.com. This is the first lesson in the Step 1 module for improvers, and in this lesson I'm going to show you how to play your first bar chord. If you've never tried to play a bar chord before, then you'll almost certainly find them difficult at first, but try not to be put off. Bar chords are essential if you want the freedom to play a wide variety of music. A lot can be done using open basic chords, but eventually you'll find that you can't complete certain songs because they contain one or two bar chords. If you spend 10 minutes a day or so trying to master the technique instead of putting it off until later, then you'll already have gained some extra ground. Firstly, let me just explain what a bar chord is for those of you that don't know. When you watch a guitarist play, you'll notice them playing these kinds of chord shapes, where the first finger is laid across the strings in line with the fret wire. This is a bar chord, and the first finger acts as a bar, and the second, third and fourth fingers are left free to play different chord shapes. Using this technique enables you to move just about any chord shape up or down the fingerboard, raising or lowering the pitch. So let's look at the technique in detail, and don't forget to refer to your lesson notes where you'll find all the relevant information that you need. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the neck of the guitar is pointing upwards slightly and quite high. If you try to do this with the neck pointing downwards, then you'll make it even harder for yourself, so keep the neck up. Next, form an E major chord, but instead of using your first, second and third fingers to form the chord, use your second, third and fourth fingers so that your first finger is free. Then carefully move the chord shape up the fingerboard to the next fret so that your second finger is in the second fret and your third and fourth fingers are in the third fret. Now we're going to lay the bar down, so make sure the neck is up and your thumb is resting on the back of the neck and not coming over the top like this. And keep your elbow low and your first finger straight, and then lay it down in the first fret in line with the fret wire and just slightly behind it. Press hard and strum. Okay, let's go through that again in close-up. Firstly, form the chord with your second, third and fourth fingers, and then carefully move the chord shape up one fret to the second and third frets. Then lay your first finger flat across all 6 strings in line with the fret wire, press hard and strum. Now let's try the same technique with an E minor chord shape. So to start, form the E minor with your third and fourth fingers so that your first finger is free. Then carefully move the shape up the fingerboard so that your third and fourth fingers are in the third fret. And next, lay the bar down, and don't forget to make sure that the neck is up and that your thumb is resting on the back of the neck and your elbow is low. Lay your first finger across the first fret in line with the fret wire. Press hard and strum. Let's see that in close-up. Start by forming the E minor chord with your third and fourth fingers so that both fingers are in the second fret, and then carefully move up one fret. Lay your first finger down in the first fret in line with the fret wire. Press hard and strum. So now that you understand the barring technique, let's look at what happens as we move the chord shapes up and down the fingerboard. So starting with an E major chord, if you play it with your second, third, fourth fingers and move up a fret and bar across. Now because we've moved that E chord up one fret, we can use the chromatic scale to work out the name of the chord. If you're still not completely sure of the chromatic scale, you can find it in your lesson notes. The note that comes after E in the chromatic scale is F. So the name of this chord at the first fret is called F, or F major. If we move up to the next fret, the next note in the chromatic scale is F sharp or G flat. So this chord is called F sharp or G flat major. At this point you can use either of those names. In the next fret, the 3rd fret, you have G, which is the same as playing an open G. So if you're playing a song which has a G chord in it, you could actually use the barred G chord, or you could use an open G. The same chord. If you move up to the 4th fret, you've got G sharp or A flat. And if you move up to the 5th, you have A, which is the same as playing open A. Here those two chords sound the same. Move up again to the 6th fret, A sharp or B flat. Up to the 7th, you have B. Move up to the 8th, and you have C, which is the same as playing an open C chord. Move up to the 9th, C sharp or D flat. And at the 10th, you have D, and that's the same as playing an open D chord. Those two chords have a slightly different tone. This chord has a slightly more top end because you're playing it on the higher strings, whereas the barred D at the 10th fret has a slightly duller tone because you're playing the lower strings. If you move up to the 11th, you have D sharp or E flat, and then the last one at the 12th, E. You can apply that same principle to the E minor chord shape, but just remember that because it's a minor chord, you need to add that on to the end of the chord. So for example, if we play E minor, we'll play it with your 3rd and 4th fingers, move up 1 fret and bar across. After the next note in the chromatic scale from E is F, so this chord is called F, but because it's a minor chord, you would add that onto the end, so you would call it F minor. And if you move up again to the 2nd fret, you have F sharp minor or G flat minor. And if you move up again to the 3rd, the next note is G, but because it's a minor chord, you would add the minor on, so it's G minor. And at the 4th fret, G sharp minor or A flat minor. At the 5th, A minor, which is the same as playing open A minor. It's the same chord. At the 6th, A sharp minor or B flat minor. At the 7th, you have B minor. At the 8th, C minor. At the 9th, C sharp minor or D flat minor. At the 10th, D minor, which is the same as playing an open D minor. And at the 11th, D sharp minor. And lastly at the 12th, E minor. So this means that you can now play all 12 major chords and all 12 minor chords. And as you practice moving those shapes up and down the fingerboard, you'll become faster at naming them. And if you're playing a song which has a C sharp minor chord in it, or an F sharp major, with a bit of thought you'll be able to figure out the chord and where you can play it, which gives you a far greater scope as a guitarist than you would have if you could only play open chords. As I said earlier, bar chords aren't the easiest things to play, so if you struggle with them at first, remember you're not alone, and they'll get easier if you keep practicing them. And remember to keep the guitar neck high, keep your elbow low and your thumb on the back of the neck, and try and keep your first finger straight when you're playing the bar chords. So that's it for this lesson. I look forward to seeing you in lesson 2, where I'll show you some alternative major and natural minor scale patterns. I'll see you then.